Hello and welcome to your reading for the week of January 14th, 2018. So we have a really mystical, magical kind of a symbol this week. And it reads Cancer 7, that's the degree point. Two nature spirits dancing under the moonlight. So what I get a sense of is that I think we're gearing up for the start of the Aquarian energy. I've just finished my Zodiac Wheel Walk readings for those who purchased them for the Aquarian energy, which will start on January 20th. But what is always the case is that the energy starts ramping up, much like the start of our 2018 energy was actually back in October. And so it's the same with Zodiac energy, is that what I'm getting an image of being shown is it's kind of like it's pushing to make its way through this gateway that's kind of like the these nature spirits. It's movement of energy that is pushing through a gateway to then break out on January 20th. And so there's momentum. And that's indicated too by the symbol, the dancing and the joy. And there's always a lot of like hyped up spiritual energy when we're about to make a shift into a new zodiac sign. It's just like momentum, you know. So the nature spirits in the symbol also speaks to a sense of creative imagination and that sense of wonder that we have when we think about the questions like, are fairies really real? Are extraterrestrials really real? You know, like all these things that we can't tangibly touch. And so I definitely did get the sense too, because this launch date of this week of January 14th of 2018, when you add up all those digits, you get down to the number 8 for numerology. And that is, 8 is about reevaluation by looking at our world. Think about the 8, turn it on its side into the infinity. And this has been a really powerful knowing that has come through to me, specifically for how I read astrology, is that when we look at an astrological chart, we can't just look at the house, let's say the second house. We can't just look at that without looking at what's reflected across the sky. Those two houses, 2 with 8, they're always separated by 6 because there's 12 houses in all. You can't look at the seed energy without looking at the reflective energy. And then the power is in the perception. So sometimes you're in the point of the reflection and you're looking back at yourself and you're able to refine. This is why it's very important that we have 2 nature spirits. And that's the energy of Aquarius, which is the water bearer, 2 rivers of consciousness. Your consciousness in your body, along with the consciousness of the all that is you. Okay? And it's the same as what I'm talking about with these houses. The seed of you in your body in house number 2 of values, with the reflection outside of you and the access to the all that is in that 8th house of things that nobody wants to talk about, things that are still of significant value, like death and taxes and big corporate cover-ups and, things that are really valuable on a much larger scale, and your values personally. They are reflectors. They're like magnetized to one another. I hope I'm making sense here, because this is how I've been receiving the information to start reading astrological charts, is as 6 streams of energy that we have access to and that we set up as a toolkit for ourselves. So you can't talk about them as individual aspects, because that's undoing the full potentiality of the energy that is available to you. And it's the same with these two nature spirits. There is me that is cat in this body. And then there is the consciousness of the all that is interplaying in everything I see reflected in my world. It is the larger consciousness, and that people and situations and businesses and you name it, all of that is a big soup pot that I'm walking in with my big old energy field, just like each of you does. I'm walking in and I'm having these rub experiences. My energy field is interacting with all of that. That is helping to hone on those seeds within me. Okay, really deep reading this week. We hone ourselves, the seed within ourselves, the more that we connect with that outer world. This is why, like, people who are really into the intuitive and people who do intuitive work, it can be kind of limiting to just hole yourself up in your little sacred space in your office, like me here in my office. It can be very limiting to stay there and like access the all that is, and to not experience the magnitude of what is offered out in the world, which is why we came. We came to rub up against other people, and it doesn't have to mean that that rub is bad. It simply offers further definition. Okay? Because if I just stay holed up in this office and I do intuitive work every day, and I don't even interact with my family or go out, to do any chores or anything, yes, I have access through my intuitive channels to a significant amount of information, but I have no way to test that. I have no way to try it out. This is my viewpoint on going through cancer treatment. I had honed, unbeknownst to me, a way to look at going through cancer treatment that I could not have accomplished had that experience not made itself manifest in my life and bringing me into the infusion suite at the medical center where I was treated. I was brought into all these situations, and therefore I brought my energy with me like a big old backpack. And I literally was creating on the fly based on what I was experiencing. This is this energy of the 8, which is what's imbued. The 8 energy is about reevaluating. And a key phrase came through to me this week, actually last night on the way home, that the power is in the perception. And sometimes we're standing from our very personal viewpoint, kind of like me in this office. And I've got all my candles on, and everything is set just how I love it. I love this place, and I often say I could spend my whole life in here. And yet, there is the experience and the examples that I give you and to people who purchase my readings, and people who come for in-person sessions from me, and people who want to learn from some of these techniques that I've been trying out, that I've been testing. The beauty is in just what I said, the testing of it. And I can't do that in these 4 walls. It takes the interaction. And so sometimes the perception, the power of the perception, sometimes I have an amazing epiphany that occurs wherever. Sometimes it's in the car on my way to work, but a lot of times it's in here, or it's really in my sacred morning routine that I do every day. That's when I experience a lot. Sometimes in dream time. You just never know, and you're the same. I'm sure there's all these epiphanies that occur to you. And the power is in that perception that comes up within me, like, oh, wow. It's something that came within me. But then sometimes we're out in our world, and as a result of the things that are occurring, and i.e. what I'm saying here is that rub, You've got your big old ball of energy around you, and then you're rubbing against things like corporations, wherever you work, people you work with. You go in for a healthcare visit. You go to drop your dog off for grooming. In the rub, that we see this other viewpoint. And the power is in how those reflect back to one another. And can you see how that helps you then to hone, to shape, like a fine craftsman, like somebody who works in a very specialized wood shop and creates top of the line, custom furniture that is award winning. It is honed by hand. It is well crafted. But it is all through your perception of how you're viewing things. And then you listen to how other people view things. And you don't even have to listen to them talk sometimes. Sometimes they just show it in their body language. Or you walk into a shop and you just immediately feel the energy. And it does something to your energy field. Our energy field that is all around us, it's very large. When we're out there and we're really wanting to experience our world, and that's the viewpoint that we're putting out there, that big old energy field, we have an impact. The environments and the people and the vibrations that we experience literally on an energetic level, that all of that is impacting us. And it's through that combination of how am I picking up on my world versus what is the seed within me saying. All of this to say, what an intro. All of this to say, this is two nature spirits dancing under the moonlight. The moonlight indicates that something deep from within is being revealed this week as we prepare for Aquarius energy. The energy of your consciousness in your body, everything that you know and believe and feel that you are within this physical form, with the greater part of you, which is the all that is, which is the other wave of energy, the two working combination. That's the glyph. It looks like a wave with two lines. They work in combination together. And so there's something gearing up here this week to reveal something that's been hidden, that is a joyous part of you, I feel. It brings more joy. These are nature spirits dancing, and they don't care that it's dark, because the moon, this light, helps to illuminate these things. And I'm really on a mission here to try to define or redefine what the word dark means. I'm just... People, when I say that 4-letter word to you, when I say dark, what immediately comes to mind? You write those words down. Really think about that. I say dark. Now, for most people, the other 4-letter word, fear, comes up. And I am really out to blast that out of the water, because it's so limiting. It's like me reading The Second House by itself. I actually get sort of a pissed off feeling about, oh, that's so limiting. When really we have the whole continuum of the two through the 8th house. It works like you looking through, a telescope at this broadness that is the planet Mars. And it's shining back something to you, and you're taking it in, and you're defining, and it's showing, and it's too limiting to only look at this one little viewpoint. And that's what fear is you're just clamped down, and this is the only way I can see this. This is the only way I can see the word dark. And my strong belief, because I've lived it, is that only in those moments where you don't have anything else to guide you, it's like you've got your eyes shut and you're feeling around, you're trying to not stumble, you're taking very careful steps. only in that awareness of every moment, everything counts. I'm right here, right now. I'm using all the information that I have right in this moment. That is the best way to abolish fear in your life. I have lived it. I can say this. It is the way that I started my cancer journey. And dear friends at work who said to me, Kat, all you've got is this information right now. Don't run away with yourself. Your angels are all around you. I could only have gotten that experience if I was at work. If I sat in this office or in my home and just kept going around on a fear cycle, oh my God, why did I did this to myself? I was just raw. It was a downward spiral. But do you see? This is me, the nature spirit, rubbing up against those people at work. And one particularly wise friend said to me, you only know what you know in this moment. You don't know all the details yet. This is what I'm saying. The world is so helpful in reflecting back to us. And so these two energies are coming together in preparation for us to best use this Aquarian energy that's coming up as of the 20th, next Saturday. Okay? I feel like that is probably the longest intro I've ever done. So let's get started, shall we? So the first card, which I did look at because I love reading a particular, whatever part of the meaning is coming up, is from the Animal Medicine deck. This was the outside of the card, back of the card, and it's the deer. The deer energy is about gentleness. And what's being revealed this week is this sense that we can always choose to be gentle with ourselves. I feel the energy immediately calm down from where I was. We know that the real truth of it, like when I tap into my team, every time I tap into my higher self, my inner being, whatever you want to call it, God, I don't know. It's the all of me that is. It's the bigger part of me. And I say, this is every time. What do you most want to tell me right now? And every time it is some version of, you are loved. And immediately it softens me. Because I want to revisit that word fear again. And the word, when I said to you in the intro, what do you think of when you think of the word dark? I really want to challenge you to notice if you start to get rigid every time something dark comes along, something challenging, something in your face. We can't get through a day without seeing or experiencing something of that nature. It is a honing tool. And what it's honing you, remember, this is two nature spirits dancing under the moonlight this week. It is that nature spirit within you, your unique ability. What most wants to come up is the fact that these things are happening for you to become more gentle with yourself. For you to think about when something bad happens, whatever that is, it doesn't matter if somebody just worded an email in a way that you viewed as wrong and you took offense somehow. Please notice how you get rigid and you start feeling like I gotta put a wall up, or I gotta shoot over a bomb over there. I gotta let them know who's boss here. I gotta push back. I gotta, that's what I keep feeling. And it's like, I'm going to just zoom one over at you because you zoomed at me. It is this immediate feeling of attack and of needing to retaliate somehow. But the core energy that I'm feeling with deer is that sense of rigidity. Is a sense when the deer no longer has its life, it has been taken by a hunter or weather or another animal, whatever. Just like humans, rigor mortis, solid as a rock. And there's nothing wrong with being grounded. But look at what's going on in our world. Like, really, do you want to be so rigid? Think about something that's in the wind, and something that is super rigid is going to get knocked down, is going to be knocked off from its momentum. All of the strength that that structure has built up, if there's no give built in, it's going down. And I'm not saying this at all to be threatening or scary or anything. I'm doing exactly the opposite. The energy here wants to set you up to be soft enough to be able to define for yourself what your meaning is, no matter what is being reflected back to you, like the houses 2 and 8 that I talked about in astrology. There is constant reflection back to us, and there is constant inspiration and wonder that comes up from within us if we're paying attention to our own inner sense of what we view to be true, what we view to be valid for ourselves. And that changes over time based on what is being reflected in your world. What are you rubbing up against? Okay? So the deer energy here is offering you an opening, an invitation to find your gentleness, your softness. I'm going to read to you the paragraph that wanted to come up. If deer has gently nudged its way into your cards today, you are being asked to find the gentleness of spirit that heals all wounds. Stop pushing so hard to get others to change and love them as they are. Apply gentleness to your present situation and become like the summer breeze, warm and caring. This is your tool for solving the present dilemma you are facing. If you use it, you will connect with Sacred Mountain, your centering place of serenity, and Great Spirit will guide you. And that's what I'm saying, like what it's referencing, that communication with others, that connection with others. If we come to this place of, as it says, treating them with warmth and love as they are, with warmth and caring, it's where all judgment begins to drop away. Okay? Now, the crystal that came forward for you is my gorgeous piece of obsidian, and this is known to me as Raven, and this is part of my fire team. And the portion of the message from Raven is, in particular, this helps to see into the soul. It's like a truth serum. And this is not only truth for you, but realizing that everybody's got this. Everybody's got this Raven. This energy where we can, this is the beauty of the dark. This is the beauty of when the full moon is out and people are just magnetically attracted to it, and they go out on snowshoe hikes and other hikes and moon bathing in the summer and just laying under it, and you put your crystals out and cleanse them and all of this. There's such a magnetic energy about that, because the landscape that was once dark, that we didn't know what was there, is somehow illuminated. And so everybody's got this. Everybody's got that supposed dark landscape in there. And what if we all saw that we each have that? We're each going through our stuff, so it's bringing a little more warmth and caring to others, and really focusing on your own sense of gentleness for yourself. Again, so you don't have that rigidness. This Raven piece is tapping into this deepest part of the soul as we go into Aquarius. It is one of the deepest pieces that I have, not used with very many people. So it's an inner fire that is gentle. That's that funny dichotomy that seems to come up in spiritual messages, is fire represents really that inner imagination, that sense of illumination when we get an epiphany. And yet with the deer energy, that's calling in the gentleness. So it is the inspiration of the gentleness from within. And then if that's viewed, again, power's in the perception. If you view that to be true within you, that sense of gentleness, that giving yourself that, okay? Then watch what reflects in your world. What does the rub look like? And I use that loosely because people take that too as negative. And it's not meant that way at all. It simply is experience. So maybe I need to start calling it that. But what is the reflector? And then based on what happens in the reflector, in your outer world, in your experiences, what comes across your path, how does that help you to hone yourself and bring even more gentleness? And how can you then offer gentleness to others? Warmth, caring. Okay? All right. The second card is from the Magdalene Oracle. And this is Gaia. Okay. So I was talking about groundedness in the intro. And what I get a sense of is, the thing with trees, because that's what's pictured on here. The thing with trees is that it's incredible to watch them during a massive windstorm, because even ones that are really tall and really big around, or if they're kind of skinny like the birches and such, they can withstand pretty significant winds. And it's largely because of their root structure, over time. So this is where I do feel like for you, that part about groundedness is important. This is part of what helps you to really embrace this Aquarian spirit coming up next Saturday. And it's part of what illuminates, the magic that can be with these nature spirits dancing in the moonlight. But the real core of what causes either a tree to fall down in a major windstorm or to remain upright is also the integrity of the body of the tree. That's a piece of it, as well as if the roots are all along the surface of the ground versus going down deep. Okay? And really, that's the only connection that they have to any kind of an anchor, if you will. So, and then there's the sun above that is helping to allow them to keep blossoming, and the life force. And that, again, is the reflector. The sun, in this instance, is the reflector, part of the message that I talked about, where that is helping you. Powers in the perspective. Everything that is occurring in the outside world as you go out and about, and you're communicating with other people, you're experiencing different things. All of that is helping that life force in you to grow. And the tree keeps branching out and new leaves keep appearing and you keep going through the cycle of the seasons. And here in the Northeast, we're in this sort of death period where the trees are kind of latent, and they still experience windstorms and ice and snow and rain. That's what we've had today. So there is this idea here coming up, I think, of cycles. That's one thing, as well as taking note this week about your root structure. What is your root structure like? That's kind of the gem that I feel is the most important to explore. There's a lot with your message because I get both the up, that's the reflector part, and understanding that is a given. That is a given that through your experience, you're just going to keep evolving. And the seasons are going to keep coming around. And what that means in terms of a human is, not only as we age and gather experience, we have natural periods of contraction and expansion. So going in to get the wisdom, that's the seed part. Remember the astrology I was saying, the seed part, you're going in to get that inner inspiration, and then out, the reflector, out in the world. How does this look when I put this into practice? Okay, so I feel like and it's a given. We go through these cycles constantly. But then I feel like what the nature spirits are bringing up is that groundedness, is your root structure, and really taking a look at that this week and noticing how your root structure throughout your life, this is reflection for you. How is your root structure then affected your outer experience? How do you know times, well, some people have had a really solid childhood, very strong principles and consistency and not abuse, just kind of guidelines that were pretty strong, okay? I would consider that pretty deeply rooted, all right? Where you, as you grew up, you had a real sense of this is right and this is wrong. And then you kind of hone that for yourself as you go through life. But then look at times where, and then for a lot of other people, I want to keep on that, they have a childhood that's not at all structured and is just like free for all. And perhaps they were left to their own, up to almost raise themselves in some way. Even if parents were totally present, they weren't perhaps engaged. So how did that then affect how you moved forward and how you had to define your values and your way of being? And what was it that eventually maybe got you to a firm footing? Or are you still in the process of trying to find that firm footing? Okay. These messages are very deep this week. So it's like I'm seeing, because of the moonlight in the symbol, I think that this is a reflection exercise for you this week, is thinking about in terms of what you consider your roots. And by that I mean your values, what you believe in, the guidelines that you use to run your life. It's what keeps you solid and stable in whatever form. Notice how that has changed over your lifetime, and times when you feel really unsure of yourself perhaps, and it's almost what I said about contraction and expansion. When we feel unsure, we go, we absolutely pull everything up. And I feel that with your roots even. And for us as a collective of humanity, that when we feel unsure, we might have really strong roots, and then things start shaking. The ground starts shaking, and we go, we like pull up all the roots because we don't want to get damaged. But in the process of doing that, we actually uproot all of our stability that could help us out. And so curling up into a little hard ball actually doesn't help. It's one thing for contraction, which is natural in the cycle of contraction and expansion. I feel like what your higher self here, energy, is trying to say is that this new Aquarian energy coming in is helping to redefine what it means by contraction. All of that is changing. Where when things get unstable, that you don't pull in all your roots and like, I keep seeing like a fern that goes into a little fiddlehead. It's more beneficial to keep the roots spread and to just go within. This is contraction, how it's really meant to be, which is going within to say, okay, I need more options here. because this path, this energy path that I've been choosing is not working, because I'm experiencing, it's like an earthquake or the wind that I mentioned before. The wind is coming in, and my trunk is not feeling too steady, so I need more options. I need to add, remember how I said if the trunk of the tree, its form is not solid, then it's more likely to fall over. I need more substance. I need more, what do I want to say? Like solidity within my being. And we get that through having options, which are always available. This is how, again, outside experiences can help us to better shape the seed, that trunk of the tree, what's inside there. And so contraction then takes on this form of, I don't pull up the roots. I'm not pulling the roots up. The roots are remaining. But I am beginning to ask for more options from a place from within. That's the contraction piece, is you go within and you, I literally do this with a journal, is I just close my eyes and I say, okay, I don't like how this is going, so I know I'm capable of more. I know there's more available to me, because the answer that I always get is that you are loved, and so I know I'm supported. I know this is an abundant and giving universe, and I'm just in a place where the winds are shaking me a little bit too much. And I know this comes up every now and then, and it's helping me to hone. It's helping me to bring new things online that are inside me that just needed that wind in order for them to come up and out, and for me to test and try them out and see how they reflect in my experience. How is that working? And I will literally sit with a journal and say, I need more options. And I just write anything that comes to me. And this is an exercise where I can utilize both my inner inspiration as well as my outer, kind of brain function of all the experience that I've had in this life, that I know, oh, that seems like it's in line with who Kat is. And I try all these things out. Okay? So, very deep message for you this week, but it's around those roots and really rethinking, having them come, notice how that has changed over time. Have you had times when the wind starts a-blowing that you're like, you just bring it all up, and then you're more likely to go bonk, take a hard fall, versus keeping them intact but going within with your contraction. It doesn't mean pulling everything from your form and disappearing from society for 3 months. It's like I said in the intro, it's like when I received a cancer diagnosis, I knew I couldn't stay in my house. I was so anxious to get back to work, and I worked the entire time of my treatment. There's nothing better that I could have done, because it helped me to hone. I could see how things were reflecting. I could feel what it was like to be part of something larger than myself, because that's where the magic exists, is knowing your own power, your own root system, but knowing the branches never stop. They're outgrowing new leaves, new buds. All of that is constantly happening. So it's just this beautiful ecosystem. But when we pull the roots up, the growth is not going to happen then. Okay? And the other thing I want to mention is your crystal is this beautiful piece of apophyllite. And this is known to me, it's in my water team, so that's intuition and emotion. And it's known as revealer. And the part of the message that wanted to come through to you is, this is opening up new parts of who you are. It has all these dimensions within it, and that's its core energy, in terms of how I work with it with people, is multidimensionality. But for you, it's this opening up new parts of who you are, and I really think redefining what it means to do contraction. And I want to say to you again, it is a natural state. That is natural process. It's a cycle, just like the 4 seasons. There is just periods of contraction where we're getting redefined and we're really honing within us. The seed part houses 1 through 6 in your astrology, and then how it's reflecting out houses 7 through 12. And that's even in terms of like 12th house, that's your spiritual gifts and secrets hidden within. Even that, it's reflected in this human experience and who we are as a body here. So I just knowing it's contraction and expansion, contraction and expansion. I'm just really wanting you to suck out all the drama and the judgment around something being bad or dark or wrong. It's like, dump all of that. That's what I feel the Aquarian energy is going to help us all with as we move into it. Okay, the final card for the reading is from the Flower Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue. And this is You Are Lovable. Okay, I was just talking about this with the last card, is that when I tap in with my higher self, inner being, God, whatever you want to call it, the bigger part of me, the wholeness of me, and I say, what do you most want me to know? What is the most important message you have for me? And it is always some form of you are loved. Because I think what is being reflected back to us and that can help to bring more joy is that from an inner being, God, whatever you call it, it's more than just you in your body. That there is always support there, is what I'm getting. There is always this sense of so much love being streamed to you. And this is hard for us on Earth because we don't believe it unless it's tangible. Like I've had various people come to me for services and want some kind of proof, and then I do the reading or have a session with them and they leave like, okay, I believe this. Because so many things line up. And that's the great thing about intuitive work, is that just you'll get more than one path of information, that everything will start to jive together. And it's about weaving together all of the pieces to create your own meaning. All right? And this card says, love who you are as you're created perfectly. Everything about your true self is beautiful. And at the center of this card is the yellow, I think it's called the stamen. That's right. And it's surrounded by all these soft pink petals of this camellia. And so the pink definitely represents the heart, love, energy, and that's your team all around you. That's your higher self energy. That's, if I could put it into a vision, that would be the vision. It's a really good vision of how that energy surrounds you. And what your team, your higher self, wants from you. Because remember, we're talking about seed, you in your body, and outer experience, and the tapping into the collective, which includes you at your wholeness. These are really deep messages this week. When you combine those two, your team, these petals around you, those waves of love, their vibration. Your team, that part of you is constantly sending it to you. But in order for you to receive it, you have to be in a place where you can receive it. And then when you do so, you immediately emit a signal which brings more. It's a give and take. It's a giving and a receiving. This is the way these astrological charts work, is reflection and the inner knowing, And so I'm wanting to say to you about this message is you have to really know and believe that you are significantly loved. I mean, by the energy that is you. But it's hard because it's not energy that's here. And if you have times when you feel really low, really out of hope, really stuck, really unhappy, all these things that I'm going to bring it up again, that dreaded F word, anything that brings up a level of fear, those are times when your inner being is flowing even more. This becomes more like a, oh my gosh, the humongous flower. Begonia? No, that's not it. Anyway, I'll think of it probably at 2 a.m. today. So it becomes an enormous flower. Many, many petals. But again, if you are in this state, because when we get that fear thing going, we get like the nature spirits dancing under the moonlight, 2 nature spirits. When we get in that place that is dark, but there is moonlight, we come into this hard little ball. That's why people reference the fetal position, is somehow we feel from a standpoint as a human in a body that we have to protect ourselves. And your team is just, that energy is wanting you to know that that is the moment it is beaming the most at you and providing the most for you. But it can't reach you if you're like this. When you start to open up, you become the petals. When you start to come open, then you can receive the love and know that you're safe and you're protected. And then you start seeing that outer world reflect things. Things come across your path that help you out of that place of fear, that help you know that you're okay, that help you know that everything works out, that this too shall pass, in the words of my grandmother. But it takes what it takes to get out of what they want me to point out. There's a secret sauce to getting out of this state. And I'm talking anytime you experience fear or challenge, or if you have an adverse reaction to change, because we're only going to experience more of this. It is very unstable energy right now. That's why these messages are so deep this week. It's very unstable energy, and we really need to be in a place of knowing how to find our center. And you're not going to find it, my friend, if you're like this. This is used for hitting and punching and fighting back. And the energies are too unpredictable for that. And I'm not saying that to induce more fear. My God, no. I'm saying it so that you know your true north, your center is in here. It's in you. And that's what your team is pointing out. The secret sauce in getting out of that place of being in the fetal position are the yellow stamen. This is your solar plexus. This is your gut. This is your belly. This is you going down deep in there and saying, I'm okay because I'm loved. I'm okay because I've been through harder things, and there's other people going through harder things than this. I'm okay because I know that at a broader level, I'm being watched after. I'm being protected. I'm being cared for. And I have love, even more love, surrounding me in this moment simply because I'm sitting here shaking like a leaf and I'm in a ball like this and I don't know how to move out of that place. And I'm not saying we all get into this severely clamped down position. This can happen, just like I said for another card or in the intro. It can happen when somebody sends you an email that has the wrong tone. It's any time that you just feel your energy go. We are enormous balls of energy. In this world, if you're listening to this world needs the light and promise and hope that exudes from your energy field when you are expanded. When your energy bubble is as big as it can get. And those are times when you feel expansion. And I'm not saying that it's natural, again, expansion, contraction. That is a natural cycle. But when there is contraction, we don't need to go down to this. Sure, we can bring our energy field in a little bit, but we don't just bring it in to be like a centimeter away from our skin. Because remember what I said in the intro about the astrological chart. At that point, you're only looking at the perspective from the seed. It's like me being holed up in this office every day, all day. And like somebody just pushing through some food now and then. It's so limited that I have no way to hone what I'm gathering from within. So when we pull our energy field in like that and have it right here, there's nothing to work with. We might be getting this amazing epiphanies within us, but we don't have any of our field to work with, which includes not only the physical, it includes the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And we don't get to hone that and test that by emotionally bringing forward whatever we believe or whatever these epiphanies are and directing our lives in those directions if we're not testing that out with our environments. Again, there's no reflective exercise. So it's kind of like looking in the mirror and you're seeing nothing back, or you're standing at a pond and the full moon is shining and you can see a reflection of your face as well as the moon. But what if you looked and there was nothing? It was just murky. It's so unsatisfying. It's so like one-sided. We don't have the full view. And when we step into this place of just not letting ourselves, we empower that solar plexus. And literally, I'm not kidding you, this can come from eating yellow foods. It can be having yellow flowers around you. It can be from wearing yellow. It's highly charged with the sun energy for you. There's way more going right than going wrong. And that sense of wonder and joy and letting that sort of very strong inner child place come out in you. Like you as a little kid, 3, 4, 5 years old, bouncing out of bed, like can't wait to get to it. It's that kind of energy that is this stamen in the middle, the yellow, that as a child, so many of us, there's some people, of course, who had a really difficult childhood. But even in those experiences, there's times of feeling a level of assuredness in who we are and being willing to, try out and be imaginative about things that we somehow lose over time. And it's tough to get back there as an adult for a lot of people. So I'm just feeling like it's this, the messages for everybody are around this expansion contraction cycle, and realizing that you got to watch if you're getting down into this balled up state, because our symbol speaks to the two nature spirits. That is you as your body, as you in your name, your body, your life, with, dancing with the greater part of you. That is all these petals around it, all of this support, all of this love that is constantly flowing to you, and especially when you don't feel sure of yourself. The key to getting through the unstable times is not to clamp down into, if I just hide away for a while, it will all pass over. The world needs you too much. We all need you too much. You're a part of the puzzle. I need you to rub up against and to say, hey, I had this epiphany and this is how I'm using it, and what do you think? And how does this apply in your life? If I could give one person one glimmer of hope, I've done my job here as a messenger. And so just really rethinking about how we handle especially contraction. We're really good when it comes to expansion, and we're feeling on the top of our game, and we're out there and we're evolving and constantly evolving. It's the contraction piece that needs a little retooling, because it's not like the energy, especially this year, is going to just blow over. It's becoming volatile because this is a new age. It's the age of Aquarius, and we're really solidly in it now. And at the start of anything, just like at the start of every time a zodiac symbol comes up, there is tremendous propulsion. It's like when the rocket ship is taking off from the launch pad. That is when the most energy is expended to get it off and launched. We're in it. We're in it. It's not meant to incite fear in you. I'm trying to incite excitement in you. I want you to feel excited about what's ahead. But people see all the change and they see all the craziness going on, and then when they get really bought into all of that, again, power's in the perception. When they just are drowning in all of that stuff, then more comes, and then it's just like, oh, I just got to shut down for a while because I can't deal with that. And that's where it's just like we lose all of our creator ability to say, there's got to be another way at this. There's got to be. So it's retooling that perspective on contraction, I think. Now your crystal is this little piece of moonstone that I have, and it's part of my water team, so this is about your intuition, and particularly emotionally, our emotions are so important in how our experience is shaped. And this is known to me as lucidia. And the particular part that wanted to come forward for you is, this is a knowing that I've been talking about, and you can hone it further. This is wisdom for you that is coming up to the surface, particularly during Aquarius season, very gently. That's why there's these gentle, beautiful, soft petals, and the stamen that are yellow inside there are strong and steady, but notice how they're largely protected, and it only comes out when you are expanded and when you feel it's safe, in the light of day. But it's knowing that you have the support. I almost feel like I'm wanting to say, it's like you're trapped in a dark room, and I just want to open the door and say, it's okay, the water's fine, come on out. And if you need that voice, I'm that voice for you. It's okay, the water's fine, come on out. That we don't have to sit in a place of fear. yes, it can be unsteady and you can kind of lose your footing sometimes. But when we trip or or the ground is uneven, don't we just simply take our time then? We take a little more time and we just slow down our decision making. And I'm asking you to slow down your emotional roller coaster and not go immediately into that fetal position. This Lucidia is opening you up a little, just, it's very gentle. I'm wanting to be very gentle with you with this message, because I think we all could use a little bit of gentleness, especially on the inside, and not just being in this place of like, pull yourself up by the goddamn bootstraps and get on with it. We've lived by those rules for a really long time. But it's time for a softer, gentler, very individualized experience, which is very unique. That is the age of Aquarius. Okay, everybody. Very deep readings this week. So thank you to all of those who hung with me through this long reading of an hour. So take care, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.